from the desert. And this afternoon, the Royals are in Goodyear, Arizona to take on the Cincinnati Reds as the Royals' road to a third consecutive trip to the World Series continues today. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. I'm Ryan Lefevre. The good news for the Royals, most of the faces are the same this year, Monty. There's always going to be a new face here or there, and the Royals and their fans will see one today in Ian Kennedy.
Right. I'm sure a lot of Royals fans excited to see Ian Kennedy in a Royals uniform for the first time, and they're looking for innings from Ian Kennedy. 3 of the last 5 seasons, he has provided 200 or more innings for his ball club. The Royals would love to get that from him this season.
And we'll get a chance to see Wade Davis and Kelvin Herrera, Danny Duffy, part of that mix, trying to make the 5-man starting rotation. And even though the Royals are playing a road game, Ned Yost has most of his regulars in the starting lineup. We'll get to that and the first pitch right after this. Royals baseball on Fox Sports Kansas City is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. And it is the same day every day. At least it appears that way in the desert. It is in the low 80s right now, upper 80s tomorrow, and back into the 90s by Thursday. Raul Mondesi Jr. will appear in the game today, signing autographs for all the Royals fans who are scattered throughout the desert, packing up Surprise Stadium and packing up all the ballparks where the Royals visit. And today it's in Goodyear, the spring training home of both the Reds and the Cleveland Indians. And the Royals will be facing Brandon Finnegan, who helped the Royals get Johnny Cueto last year in a trade.
He did a great job, and that was all up to date and more, having guys like Brandon Finnegan available. And Finnegan, a guy, obviously made his debut with the Royals, big impact during the postseason, but now he's in a Red uniform.
The Reds still see him as a starter. He's pitched well in spring training so far, and here's the lineup he will face today. And Ned Yost has most of his regulars in there, with the exception of the bottom 2 spots. Lorenzo Cain has the day off, so we'll see Raymond Fuentes in center. Salvador Perez has the day off, and it will be Tony Cruz back of the plate for Ian Kennedy when we get to the bottom of the first inning. More blue than red so far. We've had a few spring training games where if you just listen to the game with your eyes closed, you would think the Royals were the home team. Coming off back-to-back World Series and a World Series championship, fans from the Midwest are just flocking to Arizona to enjoy the beautiful weather and watch the Royals, who are 6-9 in Cactus League play, while the Cincinnati Reds are 6-8-1 for what that's worth.
Yeah, Ryan, we're really not quite a 2-1 margin as far as the Royals versus Reds fans, but certainly more blue in the stands than red.
All right, so Alcides Escobar digs in. Spring training or otherwise, pitchers need to know that he is ready for that first pitch, and there he goes. Fair ball up the left field line. Well, Finnegan didn't serve it up. That pitch looked like it was up and in, but any fastball that's anywhere near the strike zone, Escobar is going to be swinging.
Well, it looks like he is in mid-season form, because he is dead red ready. Gets that fastball up from Brandon Finnegan and pulls it just fair down the left field line.
And a wise Royals fan up the line was tempted to reach over the railing, but pulled his hands back and then played umpire to call it fair. So one pitch into it, and Mike Moustakas has a runner in scoring position, and he'll tap it back to Finnegan, who took a look at Escobar, and that's enough to hold him there. So Escobar's at second base with one down, and here are the Cincinnati Reds defensively.
You see a few familiar names and faces in this Reds lineup. Got Peraza there in center field, maybe a guy going to compete for that job for Bryce's Reds. Cozart, a normal guy, shortstop, and Joey Votto over at first base. But like most spring trainings, you're not going to see the A squad in every position.
And now Finnegan to Eric Hosmer. Royals made significant roster cuts yesterday. As Ned Yost said, it's time to start easing in toward the regular season. The younger players need playing time and at-bats. Better off getting that with the minor league clubs, and now the big league guys are going to take it to another gear, as we're fewer than 3 weeks away from opening night.
Ryan, yesterday I had a chance to spend some time over at the minor league camp, and Brett Eibner and Hunter Dozier, who had just been sent down earlier in the day, hit home runs, so they're taking advantage of the opportunity for those at-bats.
Hosmer's had a good spring. He's hitting .353 with a home run, and that is just foul. Finnegan realizes he's fortunate that that ball didn't hit the bag or was a half an inch to the right, or the Royals would have a 1-0 lead.
Finnegan going that clean-cut Reds look instead of the long hair we were used to seeing him with when he was our Kansas City Royal.
Two Royals first-round picks hooking up right here, and Hosmer late and hits it into the netting above the third base dugout. Hosmer in 2008. Brandon Finnegan just 2 years ago taken in the first round by the Royals out of TCU, and when the year was over, Brandon Finnegan was and is the only player in Major League history to pitch in the College World Series and the Major League World Series in the same year.
That will be a very interesting statistic or point on the back of his baseball card forever. Certain guys get identified by certain things that happen in their career, and Brandon Finnegan fortunate to have that happen very early in his career.
Yeah, where do you go from there when you experience all of that in one season? Inside, 2-2 to Hosmer. Hosmer last year, career highs with 93 RBIs, 98 runs scored, and an on-base percentage, .363. That stayed up, and Hosmer drives it into center field, and that'll get Escobar to the plate. He was also among the league leaders last year in go-ahead RBIs, and he puts the Royals ahead in the first inning today.
Yeah, that's just a little lazy breaking ball. Didn't have quite the bite or the sharpness, and Hosmer did a nice job in not getting too far extended, stayed back and got up the middle.
And that'll bring up Kendrys Morales. 2015 designated hitter of the year, and he chops it out to third. That's Adam Duvall. They'll get the out at second. No double play. So Hosmer is cut down, and they're 2 away. Reds getting a look at Adam Duvall because their longtime third baseman Todd Frazier is now in our division with the Chicago White Sox.
Right, we'll get a chance to see Frazier a lot this season, but Duvall, a guy that gets an opportunity, and like young players, when you have that opportunity, you want to cash in, make the most of it, and he'll be looking to do that.
So 2 away to Alex Gordon, who might be the hottest hitter in the entire Cactus League as he settles in against Finnegan. Alex is 8 for his last 12 with 3 home runs, 4 runs driven in, and 4 runs scored. Well, Finnegan twice tried to come inside. He nails him with the second pitch. And now 2 on with 2 out.
Sure, Alex would like to have a chance to swing the bat. He'll take his base, but that one might leave a little bit of a mark.
And here's Paulo Orlando. Fastball in for a strike. When spring training began, a lot of discussion about Paulo Orlando and Gerard Dyson sharing time in right field. And then in his first spring training at bat with his first spring training swing, Gerard Dyson pulled an oblique muscle, a rib cage muscle, and he is expected to start the season on the disabled list. And Paulo Orlando has done nothing to keep him from being the Royals' regular right fielder when the regular season begins.
And that's really nice to see from Paulo, who made his debut last year in a big fashion. But again, like young players, you need the opportunity. He took advantage of his last year's opportunity and going to hopefully cash in again this year. More playing time, regardless if it's a right-hander or a left-handed pitcher.
He made the Royals opening day roster last year after 9 seasons in the minor leagues, most of those with the Royals. His first big league hit was a triple, and then became the first player in Major League history to hit triples for his first 3 hits.
We had a chance to visit with the Reds broadcasters earlier, and they were talking about Paulo playing in the World Baseball Classic for a former teammate of mine, Barry Larkin, who managed that Brazilian team.
There's that slider, Finnegan's trademark pitch, and he gets Orlando to end the top of the first inning. But the Royals came out swinging. Escobar doubles on the first pitch and comes around to score on a base hit from Eric Hosmer. Bottom of the first inning. And now the Reds will get a look at new Royal Ian Kennedy, who made 30 starts last year. He spent a little bit of time on the disabled list with a hamstring issue, so that's why he was only able to go 168 in the third innings. But as you pointed out at the top of the show, Monty, the Royals like Kennedy's stuff, and they like that he has the ability to pile up those innings.
Right, and the Royals bullpen has put up a lot of innings, so a guy like Ian Kennedy can do a lot for the bullpen and keeping them strong, keeping them fresh during the entire season. But I think looking at Ian Kennedy's his track record, they really like the chance he gives them every time he goes out there to win a ball game.
Not a great bunt, but that's one of the fastest players in the major leagues, Billy Hamilton. He was trying to drag it to the first base side and left it out in front of the mound. That ball just died in the grass. Reds had a tough year last year. They lost 98 games. They were 12th in the National League in runs scored, and they have a lot of young players in their lineup. Todd Frazier's gone. Marlon Byrd is gone. Skip Schumacher is gone. It is a rebuilding season for Cincinnati. A lot more experience amongst position players than they do on the mound. As Cozart in foul ground has that run down by Paulo Orlando. Hamilton tags, and a good throw by Paulo makes it a close play at second base. And now Hamilton is at second with one down.
Take a look at Ned Yost's defense today. Escobar short his normal position. Jose Fuentes playing in center field. He's been playing some right field as well. Alex Gordon over in left field corners. Hosmer Moustakas. Tony Cruz behind the plate.
Now Joey Votto. So the Royals had a runner in scoring position for their number 3 hitter and first baseman, and now the same for the Reds' number 3 hitter and first baseman. Joey Votto hit .314 last year, but that only tells you part of the story, as he walked 143 times. That was the most walks for any major league player in 11 years.
He was actually criticized a little bit for taking so many walks. They wanted him driving the ball, hitting in that 3 slot, but he's a very disciplined hitter.
And he may see more pitches to hit this year without Todd Frazier hitting behind him. Frazier at 35 home runs last year. And that's outside for a 4-pitch walk. Kennedy checking in with Omar Infante. Infante will be the cover man on a comebacker. Kennedy did not pitch for a good team last year, so that's reflected somewhat in his record at 9-15 with a 4.28 ERA. More strikeouts at innings pitched. Fouled away by Adam Duvall. Kennedy in 168 innings struck out 174.
Right, his strikeout total up a little bit last year. I spoke with Dave Island yesterday, his pitching coach, about him, and he said he got the ball up a lot to get guys to strike out, and he wants to really see him keep the ball down more. So maybe the strikeouts will be down a little bit, but as a result, he'll probably keep the ball in the ballpark much more efficiently.
Good pitch right there, and it just popped out of Tony Cruz's glove. And Hamilton will move on to third base on a pass ball. Runner at first base, Votto, stayed put. And now it's 0-2 on Adam Duvall. On the ground right side and under Infante's glove. So the Reds come up with a run in the bottom of the first inning to tie the game. And Duvall on a tough pitch did a good job of making contact and avoiding the strikeout.
Looked like maybe a little cutter or slider away. He just stayed back, went the other way, and just under Omar Infante.
And that'll bring up Jay Bruce. In their rebuilding mode, the Reds do have some names with Votto and Bruce. And Jay Bruce has had 7 seasons with at least 20 home runs, and his name keeps popping up in trade rumors. In fact, it looked like right before spring training began that he was on his way to Toronto, but at the last moment that trade was reversed after one of the teams was concerned with a medical report of a minor league player.
Ryan, especially during spring training when your name is mentioned in a lot of trade talks and potential trades that could occur, and with Bruce having that trade that didn't work out, it's always on your mind. I remember a lot of years when the Atlanta Braves were looking for a closer, my name came up frequently in trade talks. It's something that's always on your mind. You're always getting asked a question. There's no way to eliminate it from your thinking.
And I mentioned Votto and Bruce, but also Brandon Phillips. That's another name that the Reds still have, and he has been traded twice, but because of his right as a player, a 10-5 player, 10 years in the big leagues, 5 with the last 5 years with the same team, he had the option to veto the trade, and he did both times.
And that's very unusual for a player who's got his experience to potentially go to a team that's going to have an opportunity to play in the postseason, to veto that trade, especially during this time of year.
And that's hit well into right center field. Orlando will cut it off deep. Votto will come around to score. And hitting the brakes at third is Duvall. And Cincinnati takes a 2-1 lead against Kennedy.
One thing you got to do against big league hitters is keep the ball down, especially on breaking balls, hanging pitches in the middle part of the plate. Got to find a way to find those gaps. Exactly what we saw Bruce do there.
Kind of similar to the pitch that Hosmer hit to center field for a base hit. The breaking ball just didn't quite get it down enough. And now 2 in scoring position for a young player the Reds are very excited about, Jose Peraza. Peraza is originally from the Braves organization. He was a shortstop, blocked by Andrelton Simmons, traded to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers used him at both second base and center field. And while he is a natural infielder, the Reds really like him as a center fielder, as Billy Hamilton, their regular center fielder, had surgery on his shoulder, so he's hitting, but he's not playing much on defense. So the Reds are taking a long look at this young guy. Still 0-2.
One thing they like about Peraza is the way he handles the bat. He's got very good discipline at the plate. He can handle pitches on both sides of the plate. So he's a guy that has a chance to hit for average. And we see there the .625 average. He's on fire now.
Good pitch. Changeup down, and Peraza's the second out.
Ian Kennedy is a 4-pitch pitcher. His changeup will be a real key for him this year, especially changeup down in the strike zone. He's a fastball, curveball, changeup guy, mixes in a slider, but that changeup will be a real key for him.
And now the left fielder, Scott Schebler, also coming over from the Dodgers. The same trade where the Reds got Peraza. That was a 3-team trade. The Reds, the Dodgers, and the White Sox, the deal that sent Todd Frazier to Chicago. A little late on a fastball. Reds like Schebler's power, and you don't need a whole lot of power when you're playing in Cincinnati every day. Escobar will back up, looking right up into the sun, and he's got it. So the Royals get 1 in the first. The Reds get 2. And Cincinnati has a 2-1 lead in Goodyear. Theme events are a great opportunity to attend a Royals game with others who share a common interest, and they are also the best way to access limited edition Royals giveaway items. You must have a theme ticket for events like Gordo Nation, University Days, Bark at the Park, Star Wars Days, Zuba's Palooza, and other theme events. Go to Royals.com/theme tickets for information. Omar Infante, he is playing at second base. He's been mostly a designated hitter over the past week. He had off-season surgery on his elbow. And in his first 2 springs with the Royals, he always seemed to come up with some sort of arm trouble, whether it was a shoulder or an elbow. Finally went in and got that elbow taken care of. So it's just now starting to play more regularly on the field.
I know
or in the field.
Right, he was getting a lot of work early in the day with the training staff to try to get that arm in shape to be able to go out and play everyday second base and just gradually build into being ready to play during the season.
And there they are. Head athletic trainer Nick Kinney. Up the middle. Tough backhand play for DeJesus. And Infante, who has swung the bat well the past couple of games, is on with a leadoff single.
Royals would love to see a lot of this from Omar Infante, not only this spring but into the season. Love to see the improvements with the bat from Omar Infante.
And here's Raymond Fuentes, who is in center field today. Fuentes was a first-round pick of the Red Sox in 2009, and then he was part of a big trade between the Padres and the Red Sox, a deal that involved Adrian Gonzalez and Anthony Rizzo. And then the Royals got Fuentes from the Padres in a trade. Players that are still in the mix as far as position players go. And the guy at the top of that list has become a very interesting player to keep an eye on. Whit Merrifield, who by some maybe was labeled as an infielder, but when he was at the University of South Carolina played a lot of outfield, and now being looked at as a potential super utility player.
Well, and that's something that players can really improve the value to a club, and Ben Zobrist comes to mind, a middle infielder coming through the minor leagues, When he got to the big leagues, eventually he was made into an outfielder, and then he was an everyday player.
Schebler makes a play in left field, one down, and Infante goes back to first base. So one down, and now Tony Cruz. Cruz came to the Royals during the offseason in a trade with the Cardinals, where he was for several years Yadier Molina's backup. So Cruz and Drew Butera at the moment are battling to be Salvi's backup catcher. We should point out, though, Cruz has minor league options. Drew Butera does not have minor league options. So what that means is the Royals do have the option of sending Cruz down to the minor leagues without any kind of consequence. They don't have that luxury with Drew Butera. Another team could claim him. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And being Salvador Perez's backup, as we know, just like with Cruz being Molina's backup, not a lot of regular playing time, but when you are expected to play, you have to perform. And I think the thing that the Royals really like about Drew Butera from their experience is he has the ability to handle those power arms that are coming in from the bullpen late in the game.
Hit well to third. Duvall, high throw to second base, but the Reds still turn the double play. So a good adjustment by DeJesus to go up and get it and connect with Votto for an inning-ending 5-4-3 double play. A 2-1 lead as they come up against Ian Kennedy in the bottom of the second inning. Well, the feeling was when spring training began that Edinson Volquez, Giordano Ventura, and Ian Kennedy were locked, and then the next 2 spots would be up for grabs amongst these 4 guys: Medlin, Young, Duffy, and Dylan G, who was added to the Royals 40-man roster just today. So going from a non-roster player to an actual roster player. Ivan DeJesus Jr. hits it toward the corner. He's going to try for 2 against Alex. High throw. He is out. Maybe they don't spend as much time on those scouting reports in spring training games like they do in the regular season.
Well, we've seen this a number of times from Alex Gordon. Gets to the ball so well. High throw to second base, but Omar Infante right there to apply a nice tag. Whole key to Alex getting that ball, turns quickly. Got that rifle cannon for an arm.
And now ball 1-2. Ramon Cabrera, who's the Reds catcher today. One and one. So Medlin, Young, Duffy, and Dylan G, who just kind of got buried last year after going on the disabled list with the Mets. He went down about the time when all those young guys were being called up.
Yeah, he got hurt at the wrong time because they had some tremendous arms, as we saw during the postseason last year, that injury to him provided opportunities for, and he was able to cash in.
So the innings for Kennedy, and we'll go back to those numbers. Fonte will take care of Cabrera. So 2 down. So really there's 2 things to look at on this graphic. All of Kennedy's innings. And last year we mentioned 168. He spent some time on the disabled list. But the bottom line is concerning on one hand, because very few innings from the starters means a lot of innings from the bullpen. But Ned Yost did a wonderful job last year of stretching out or spreading out his relievers. Most innings pitched by a bullpen in the American League last year, as Orlando goes to the wall. But very few Royals relievers were even among the top 25 individually in innings pitched. Top of the 3rd inning in Goodyear. And with the Royals coming up, we can finish the thought from the last half inning. And your perspective, Monty, very, very interesting that the Royals could have so many innings collectively as a bullpen, the most in the league, and yet there really wasn't 1 or 2 guys that you typically expect where you look at his appearances and say, boy, they really burned him out.
And I think the easy answer to that question is why is because Ned Yost has so many weapons to go to in that bullpen. He doesn't have to rely on one particular guy for the 8th inning every time there's an 8th inning situation. He had early in the season, until Greg Holland was not there, that he had Wade Davis and Luke Hochevar. He had Kelvin Herrera. He had so many options to go to, and I just think adding that link, just kind of like the Royals had in their lineup last year, it made things easy for him as far as managing.
And then this year you pick up Joakim Soria with Greg Holland not available, recovering from Tommy John surgery. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Escobar. He doubled on the first pitch of the game and then scored on a single from Hosmer. Hosmer drove in Escobar in the top of the 1st, and then Duvall and Bruce drove in runs for the Reds in the bottom of the 1st. Changeup. That is the second strikeout for Brandon Finnegan. So here we go. Royals bullpen, best in the major leagues. As far as the American League goes, most wins, best earned run average, lowest opponent's batting average, but most innings. So even saying what we were just saying, that Ned Yost is able to spread those guys out and not burn anybody out, the Royals would still like to see a lot more innings from the rotation this year.
Well, they would love to see that, and obviously Kennedy's track record says that he's going to give them some more innings. I think last year coming in, there was a lot of uncertainty with regards to Edinson Volquez, and he did a tremendous job going over 200 innings on his own.
Still the play at first base as the ball literally ripped the glove off of Finnegan's right hand, but Adam Duvall comes over from third to throw out Mike Moustakas.
Not your typical 1 to 5 to 3 where the glove comes off the pitcher.
Just the way they practice it. So 2 down to Hosmer. He took a hanging slider and hit it into center field in the first inning, and now Finnegan gets his glove knocked off again and throws out Hosmer. And Hosmer turns to make sure Finnegan is all right. Is anyone going to check to see if the glove is all right?
Spring training is a time for breaking in gloves, and Finnegan sure is getting his broken in today.
My school.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. That's how you get to Monty's house. Here in Arizona. Long, winding driveway.
Hard to keep the car clean, though.
Brandon Finnegan took a shot. I don't know if maybe it got him on the wrist. At least the
kind of like in the heel of his.
Yeah. Back-to-back at bats, Moustakas and Hosmer literally knocked the glove off of his hand. Cozart got jammed, hits it out to Escobar, who plays with a tricky hop, and gets Cozart, who's 0 for 2. The jury was out with the Royals whether Brandon Finnegan was a reliever or a starter. Some thought he could start. I think Moore felt like he was better suited to be a reliever. The same in Cincinnati. There's still a debate as to whether he's a starter or a reliever. He wants to be a starter, and with the lack of veteran arms for the Reds, that's the first shot that he's going to get, is at the starting rotation. Kennedy walked Votto on 4 pitches in the first inning, and Votto scored one of the 2 Reds runs.
Ryan, Joey Votto, one of those veteran players on the Reds that is okay with the youth movement. He's perfectly content being part of the system and being part of the entire process and trying to get the Reds back into contention. So he'll be a key factor. Signed long-term, mega dollar deal, so he's somewhat of the face of the Reds now.
And I think he's signed till like 2048. Let me look it up. He is signed through 2023. Wow. That's 7 more years. So if you include this year, that's 8 more years. Choking up on the bat with 2 strikes. 2-2. Here's that shot back to Finnegan, who's made the mistake of leaving 2 pitches out over the middle of the plate to Hosmer today.
Saw a very scary replay involving a former Red/Royal, Johnny Cueto, in his outing yesterday. A line drive back up the middle, similar to that ball that Hosmer hit. It hit him right above the bill and the cap in the head, and the ball ended up in right center field.
But he stayed in the game.
He did. He stayed in the game.
1 on 1 out, and Adam Duvall coming up against Ian Kennedy. Speaking of Johnny Cueto, we were visiting with members of the Reds organization before the game today, and we were just kind of reviewing the Royals and Reds seasons last year, and the people in this organization, and this I mean the Reds, they were stunned that Cueto had some of the stretches he did with the Royals, and stretches that he had never had in his entire major league career. Bad stretches, but really, in my opinion, the 3 games where the Royals needed Johnny Cueto the most, he was there.
Yeah, he pitched some huge games. The clinching game, I remember, that was a big game. Closing
the division series.
Right against the Astros, and then had the big game later. So, yeah, he did.
Game 2 of the World Series.
He was feast and famine, but he was feast when they needed it.
Right. The 3, in my opinion, were his home debut. You know, the fans were so excited. I remember a day game at Kauffman Stadium, and they put it up on the Crown Vision that the Royals had just acquired Johnny Cueto. I mean, that was big news. Bad news for the Reds, good news for the Royals. That the Royals had really never made deadline moves like that before, even in the glory years. And then his home debut, he throws the shutout against the Tigers. The clinching game of the division series, as you just talked about with the Astros, after that miracle come from behind victory in Houston. And then game 2, one of the best World Series performances ever, sending that series to New York with the Royals with a 2-0 advantage.
The thing I remember about that game too is he threw 1 pitch from the stretch. He'd given up a walk. I think the first pitch he threw was a home run, and that was the last base runner of the game.
Jay Bruce doubled to right center, driving in Joey Votto in the first inning, and now he has Votto at second, Duvall at first, and he's down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Both Kennedy as a pitcher and Bruce as a hitter can pile up the strikeouts. Back to Kennedy. He looks at second. And then over to Hosmer for the sure out. Votto goes to third. And Duvall goes to second. 2 down. And now Jose Peraza. He is Kennedy's only strikeout victim so far. Ian got him with a changeup in the first inning. You know, it's interesting, these two teams, Monty, you know, on the Royals side, how quickly things can turn around in a positive way. 3 straight winning seasons, 2 trips to the World Series, and for the Reds, how quickly it's turned around in the opposite direction. 4 years ago, they won 97 games. 3 years ago, they won 90 games. And now here they are in a full-blown rebuild.
Right, and we see that cycle in baseball so many times, and that's why the Royals fans are so excited about this opportunity now to keep this thing going, keep this window open as long as possible.
Fonte backs up to the grass. So the Reds get a couple of hits, but they strand 2, both in scoring position. And at the end of 3, Cincinnati leads 2-1. Fourth inning with a Cincinnati 2-1 lead. And it'll be Kendrys Morales leading off for the Royals. A year ago, Morales was playing in every single game, as he was one of the main additions to the 2015 Royals. Here are the additions and subtractions comparing 2015 to 2016. On the right side, the subtractions, those two names at the top, somewhat of a, not the exact same type of players, Monty, but very similar in that last year it was how are the Royals going to replace James Shields and Billy Butler, and this guy right here ended up being the designated hitter of the year, drove in over 100 runs, Kendrys Morales. And really Volquez had a very similar year to James Shields. Shields pitching for the Padres, and now the question would be, is Ian Kennedy going to pick up the slack for Cueto, and who's going to fill the shoes of Ben Zobrist on offense?
Well, it's going to be difficult to fill Ben Zobrist's shoes, especially what he was able to do down the stretch for the Royals and in the postseason. But if I look at Kennedy, he reminds me a lot of a James Shields. He's a guy that's going to go out and provide innings. He doesn't have the type stuff probably to go out and strike out 15 batters or throw a no-hitter, but he's going to keep you in ball games. Every time he takes the hill, he's going to give you a chance to win a ball game. And I think that's the consistency that we saw from James Shields. And you know, Shields had that name Big Game James, and he pitched in some big games, but he was really more of a steady guy. And he gives you the 30-plus starts on the season. He gives you the 200-plus innings, and that's what they're looking for from Ian Kennedy.
Big swing by Morales. 3 balls, 2 strikes. He reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning. Finnegan hoping to get an out here with his glove still on his right hand. Outs 2 and 3 in the third inning included a ground ball from Moustakas that knocked the glove off of his hand, and then a line drive from Hosmer that knocked the glove off of his hand. Hit well and pulled foul. Nice grab. Are a Royals fan? You bet.
Gives that fan a contract.
There are 3 gloves over there. Bruce over from right, and he'll bring it down for the first out. Don't you miss the opportunity to bring your company, your school, your sports team, or other group out to Kauffman Stadium this spring. Royals group tickets are available with discounted rates starting with the purchase of 20 or more tickets. Contact the Royals group sales department at 816-504-4040 option 4 or email groupsales@royals.com. Finnegan hit Alex with a pitch in the first inning. Eric Hosmer drove in the Royals run in the first, and then the Reds got RBIs from Duvall and Bruce in the bottom of the first inning. And now both Finnegan and Kennedy are settling in. 1-1.
I mentioned in the first inning when Alex got hit by the ball that one may leave a mark, and our colleague Rex Hudler may have said that ball might have a mark on it after hitting Alex.
One and 2. I don't know if you read it. Sam Mellinger of the Kansas City Star, he wrote a great piece on what was going on behind the scenes this past off season and the days leading up to Alex re-signing with the Royals for 4 more years. Answering all the questions that I was wondering, you know, what was going through Alex's mind? How close did he come to signing with another team? Did the Royals truly believe that they could bring back Alex? Were they looking at other options? Alex and Dayton Moore, we know, are close. Did they just allow their lieutenants to do all the work, or at some point did they actually begin to discuss things? Really a good comprehensive look at what went on.
And I think that was a prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and fortunately the Royals got the best.
Slider gets Alex. 2 down, and that's 3 strikeouts for Finnegan. You know, and talking about Alex, Monty, you know, to kind of answer the question about, you know, how do the Royals fill the shoes of Ben Zobrist? Well, you know, there's several Royals. Alex, he stays healthy a full season. If Omar Infante has a better year, which will be hard for him to not have a better year compared to last year. Alcides Escobar, who is outstanding in the postseason, could have had a better regular season. So, you know, if a few guys pick it up just a little bit, that will help fill the offensive void.
And I don't think anyone ever realized how difficult last season was for Alex, between the wrist surgery that he had and the setbacks he had early in the season as a result of that, and then the groin injury. He was never, I don't think, 100% during the course of the year. So there's a tremendous margin there that could potentially be made up if he performs at his level. I mean, hopefully that will be the case.
Two and one on Paulo. And then there were several Royals who had career type years. Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, Kendrys Morales, Lorenzo Cain, Salvador Perez, at least had categories where they put up numbers they had never put up before. That is a bullet hit by Orlando to the shortstop Cozart. So Paulo Orlando, while he's out, continues to have great swings this spring. 3.5 played, 2-1 Cincinnati. Number 16 for the Royals, and coverage continues here on Fox Sports Kansas City. Friday night we will be in San Antonio with the Royals and the Rangers at the Alamo Dome. A broadcast where we will both be represented. We'll have a chance to do those two games in San Antonio with Tom Grieve, Mr. Ranger, former Rangers player, former Rangers general manager, and longtime broadcaster. So that's Friday night, Saturday afternoon from San Antonio. Scott Schebler, Ivan DeJesus Jr. and Ramon Cabrera are coming up as Kennedy jumps ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kennedy gave up 2 runs, 3 hits in the first inning. Allowed 1 single in the second, 2 singles in the third. You got Schebler on a pop up to short, and it's still 1-2.
Kennedy now 51 pitches on the day, and I spoke with Dave Allen, his pitching coach, yesterday, and he was hopeful to get 4 innings from Kennedy, so it looks like he's going to be able to deliver those innings today.
This question comes up every spring, so let's get the answer from a pitcher. A pitcher will get knocked around in a spring training game, and then afterwards he will say, I felt good. I was just getting my work in. So what exactly does that mean as opposed to a regular season start?
I think every pitcher is a little different, but I know in getting ready for the season, there are certain things you have to do to be physically ready. So the pitch count is one factor. The other factor is working on refining all of your pitches. And there were times that I would go out, and I know a lot of pitchers follow the same pattern. They go out and they limit themselves to a fastball and one other pitch. So maybe a fastball curveball, maybe a fastball slider, maybe fastball changeup, but you don't have, you kind of tie your hands behind your back and say, I'm not able to throw all 4 of my pitches in this given day. I'm going to force myself to throw that changeup when I need to get a big out. As a result, you get better. You learn the feel. You get better at executing that pitch, and then you carry it into your next start, and then you may say, I'm going to throw 3 of my 4 pitches. And you just kind of graduate to the end of spring training camp. So that's why a lot of times the numbers in spring training, not just for teams, but also for individuals, are quite out of whack from what you would expect to see during the year.
So if you get knocked around, so be it, because your agenda is maybe a pitch or your mechanics and not necessarily getting hitters out.
Precisely. And just, again, building up the workload. And for starting pitchers, oftentimes that's just throwing a number of pitches. You'll hear guys say, hey, I didn't throw the ball well today, but I got my pitch count up. As a result, they're physically going to be more prepared for their next start, and then eventually be more prepared to start the season.
That pitch nicked Ivan DeJesus Jr., so he's down to first base with one out. Eric Hosmer says, "You all right?" One on, one out for Ramon Cabrera. DeJesus runs, and that's blooped into left field. Alex reacted quickly. DeJesus rounded second base, but he holds. So Cabrera, typically on a hit and run, you want to keep the ball on the ground, but he gets away with a little bloop base hit. And the Reds have two on with one out. And now Billy Hamilton. The Royals and the Reds, they met in the regular season last year. 2 games in Kansas City and then 2 games in Cincinnati, and the Royals dominated that series. They won all 4. They outscored the Reds 17-5. In the 2 games at Kauffman Stadium, they outscored the Reds 10-1. And one thing I remember was Billy Hamilton in Cincinnati sliding for a ball in the outfield, and he had to come out of the game early. And that about wiped up his season. He injured his right shoulder, ended up having surgery on that shoulder. And so at the moment, similar to Omar Infante, coming back from a little procedure on his elbow, Hamilton on his shoulder, seeing time as the designated hitter, not a lot of time in the field yet. 1 ball, 1 strike.
One memory I have from the series in Cincinnati, I think it may have been Ben Zobrist hit the home run in the bottom of the 9th off of Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman hadn't had a blown save in months. I think the Royals had arrived into Cincinnati in the middle of the night. Guys were just sleepwalking over to the ballpark the next day, and here comes Chapman with the Royals down. Yeah, Zobrist batting right-handed, hit one into the seats. Two and two. Two years ago, Billy Hamilton was second in the voting for the National League Rookie of the Year, but played in just 114 games last season because of the shoulder problems. Only hit .226. Out to Fuentes in center. The runners play it halfway. 2 down. One minor league season, Billy Hamilton had 155 stolen bases. That was just 4 years ago. And now 2 down to Zach Cozart. With DeJesus at second, Cabrera at first. Blocked by Cruz. 1 ball, no strikes. When the Royals played the Reds last year, Zach Cozart was out. Talking about injuries, he was out after having surgery on his right knee. One of the best defensive shortstops in the National League. Off the end of the bat. Paulo Orlando in right center field. So Kennedy gives up 2 in the first inning and then strings together 3 straight scoreless innings. Cincinnati leads 2-1. Royals had a very slow start here in Cactus League play. They scored 6 runs in the first 6 games, and they've really warmed up offensively lately. Only 1 run so far in the first 4.5 innings. But last year the Royals had an improved offensive season compared to the year before, and especially in the clutch. They were second in the league with runners in scoring position, and in the most clutch of situations, 2 outs and runners in scoring position, Monty, they were the best.
It was amazing. It seemed like every night you and Hud were talking about getting in a situation, 2 outs and guys in scoring position, and the Royals came through. Amazing.
Finnegan has set down the last 8 Royals. There have been some hard hit outs along the way, so he's going to try and go 5. There is a pitcher warming up behind him in the Reds bullpen. He'll get Infante, Fuentes, and Cruz. Omar singled to center field in the 2nd inning. Finnegan only at 56 pitches in 4+ innings.
I've been impressed with Finnegan today. He's had the good fastball, the slider we're accustomed to seeing, but I think his changeup's been better than I expected to see.
Just inside, 3-1.
That was a good example of Finnegan having the confidence in his slider. 2-1 count. He throws it looking for either a swing and a miss or a called strike. Didn't get it, but it was a very well executed pitch.
Finnegan's had one ball after another hit in his direction, and Infante singled in the 2nd inning. Finnegan went on to retire the next 8, and now Infante snaps the string with a leadoff single in the 5th.
If you're going to pitch hitters away, you better be on your toes, because the ball is likely to be coming back up the middle, and that's the case here with Infante, using the entire field going right up the middle.
Here's Raymond Fuentes. And this is not just any bunt for him, but if Fuentes makes the Royals out of spring training or called up from the minor leagues at some point, Ned Jost wants to see, if needed, can he get a bunt down, and a bunt down against a tough left-hand pitcher. This time swinging away and pulls it foul. What was the number that Ned referred to, that the Royals had, what, 34 sacrifice bunts last year? And that's an area where the critics will scream at the Royals for how often they bunt, and Ned said of only 4 of those 34 times was that his call. And oftentimes it's the players on their own putting down a sacrifice bunt.
Yeah, I remember a number of times a lot of people scratching their heads on what are we doing here. And later you find after the game it wasn't Ned Jost and his staff putting on the bunt. It was a player doing it on his own.
And there's no way to know if the sacrifice bunt is the right call or not, because you don't know what would have happened if he didn't bunt. But sometimes a player on their own will go to the plate and they're thinking that this is the right team thing to do, or they might be thinking, you know what, I don't feel comfortable swinging the bat against this guy. I don't have good numbers against him. I'm not seeing the ball out of his hand. I don't feel very good about getting a hit, so I want to do something to contribute, and they will decide, I'm going to put down a bunt.
I know as a pitcher, Ryan, I loved it when they gave me a free out. If they're going to put down a bunt, they're going to sacrifice to get the guy over. As a pitcher, I like that because they've just done 1/3 of my job during the course of the inning. There are times when it's the right thing to do. Joey
Votto, not only a hitter with a good eye, but he's an outstanding bunter. See, how many times did he bunt last year? Here, take a guess before I look it up, Monty.
3.
How many sacrifice bunts did Joey Votto had last year?
I'm going to guess 3 or less.
Joey Votto has played in 1,110 games in his major league career, and he has a grand total of 0 sacrifice bunts. But he had 2 bunt hits. How about that? In fact, he has 1 sacrifice bunt in his professional life. At Class A Sarasota 11 years ago. We don't know if the sign was put on or if he did it on his own, but he had 1 sacrifice bunt. And apparently they weren't very happy with it. That fan right there sent in a nasty letter to the editor in the Cincinnati Enquirer because he never put down a sacrifice bunt after that again.
Don't even try it. It doesn't work, right?
Fuentes is having a long battle with Finnegan. That is the second deck at Goodyear Ballpark. It's a great destination for Ohio baseball fans because not only do the Reds play here, but the Indians play here. And wouldn't you know, one of the streets that leads to this ballpark is Buckeye Road. Strikeout and no throw out. Nice play by the shortstop Trahan, who's just entered the game. Blake Trahan on a tough throw down. Was able to pick it and almost able to apply the tag on Infante.
Omar got things going and able to come through.
69 pitches. And Brian Price is going to make a pitching change. So another good day for Brandon Finnegan as he hopes to make the Reds opening day rotation. Cincinnati leads 2-1 in the 5th inning. Omar Infante is at second base, and Tony Cruz is at the plate against new Reds pitcher James Allen Hoover. James Allen Hoover. So, of course, with initials like that, his nickname is JJ.
Had a nice season last year.
DeJesus at second base. Throws out Tony Cruz, and Infante on the play will go to third.
Really, Hoover, one of the few guys in the Reds bullpen that comes back with a lot of experience. So their bullpen's going to have some holes in it. They're likely going to try to fill some of those holes maybe later in spring training camp when some guys are optioned out. But guys like Hoover will be workhorses during the course of the season for the Reds.
Now Cetus Escobar with a chance to tie the game, and Hoover misses outside. Esky, if you missed it, on the first pitch of the game, doubled and scored the Royals run, and now he drops down a bunt. He had the third baseman Duvall playing back, and Escobar does tie the game as Infante scores. And the topic of bunts, that's a weapon that oftentimes we discussed during the broadcast last year. That's a weapon that Alcides Escobar didn't use very often, and in his best offensive season as a Royal, he bunted quite a bit.
Well, it's good to see him doing that in spring training. I think the more you do it, the more confidence you build in doing it. It's a way to get out of slumps too as a hitter. If you're having problems dropping down a bunt, if you have speed like Alcides has, why not do it?
Alcides Escobar, he started hitting during the postseason last year, and he hasn't stopped hitting. American League Championship Series most valuable player.
Escobar did a nice job in waiting just till very last minute. Pulled a string on that bunt. Nice job. Great location. Cut him surprised.
Yeah, there's really no reason to have a third baseman that deep with Escobar at the plate and a runner at third. I mean, that's just an invitation. And they might have played it differently if it was a regular season. Saw Hoover's improvement in numbers from 2014 compared to last year. 2-0 on Moustakas. Moustakas against Finnegan twice, grounded back to the mound. And now ahead in the count, 3-0. Three and one. By the way, we were just talking about it. It is just a Cactus League game. But how did the Royals tie the score today? 2 outs, runner in scoring position.
That's right.
That's the shortstop Trahan, who is over on the right side. And with the shift, Trahan throws out Moustakas. The Royals tie it. And when we get to the bottom of the 5th inning, Wade Davis will take over for the Royals.
Take a look here at Ian Kennedy's day. Going to spread 7 hits over 4 innings. I like the changeup. I like the fact he's able to keep the ball down, and he worked out of maybe some jams, some situations where he needed to make some pitches and get out of innings. But overall, I think Ian Kennedy will be happy with his day. There you see that high fastball he likes to use for the put-away pitch on the strikeout.
Our Academy leaderboard takes a look at American League ranks for Wade Davis. Most wins, best ERA, lowest opponent's batting average, and 10th most strikeouts.
Can he do it again?
Why wouldn't he?
How many times did we get asked that question last year? And we're being asked the same question again this year.
Now, here's the last 2 years combined. When you say, can he do it again? 2014 and 2015 combined, his ERA is under 1. Look at that strikeout to walk ratio, 187 to 43. Votto hits it toward the corner. Orlando cuts it off, and that holds Votto to a single. He's been on base all 3 times. And the reason why Wade Davis is pitching now in a 2-2 game in the 5th inning is because he and Ned Yost and Dave Island want him to face major league hitters.
Very good reason. I think you're going to see Wade Davis work on things. You're going to see him doing all the things we talked about, getting ready for the season. Knowing his role this year is going to be different coming out of spring training camp. It's just a matter of getting prepared. We know his stuff's there.
Fastball right by Adam Duvall. Out to Orlando in right field. And Duvall is the first out. Remember, 2 seasons ago, Wade Davis had that impressive streak without allowing an extra base hit. In fact, he became the last major league pitcher to allow an extra base hit in 2014. He went 40 innings before Kurt Suzuki hit a double at the end of July against Wade. So the extra base hit streak came to an end. This is Jay Bruce. But another streak was intact. Wade Davis almost went 2 full years without allowing a home run. He gave up a home run to Ian Desmond in August of 2013. Fouled away on a bunt by Bruce. And then he didn't allow another home run until August of 2015. So just a handful of days shy of exactly 2 years when he gave up a home run to Jose Bautista. 125 2/3 innings without allowing a home run.
It's really difficult to imagine how a pitcher is able to do that, because it just takes one mistake. And for the most part, when you're one of the premium players / pitchers in the game, you make a mistake, you don't get away with it a lot of times. These guys are so locked in against you. They know that they have to be really focused and really locked in order to do some damage. And if you make a mistake, but to go that long without making a mistake is truly remarkable.
If he were a starter, let's say he had a remarkable year by today's standards with innings. In the dirt, Cruz was able to pull it out and almost got Votto. So Votto gets a stolen base. So let's say Wade Davis threw 250 innings, which would be a huge number today. He would have given up 2 home runs in 250 innings if he continued that pace.
Yeah, that's why it's difficult to fathom how good that was.
And now a walk to Bruce to put runners at first and second with one down. And now Jose Peraza. He was 0 for 2 against Kennedy.
Tony Cruz and Wade Davis have seemed to have a little difficulty getting on the same page. Wade doesn't seem as sharp as we're accustomed to seeing him, but maybe it's a sign issue.
Ball will carry here. And Fuentes finds it in the sun. Votto will go to third. And there are 2 down. And now Scott Schebler. He was 0 for 2 against Kennedy. Fastball. And now 0-2. Jay Bruce takes off, and no throw from Tony Cruz. So a couple of guys that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be stealing bases. Joey Votto and Jay Bruce, they're usually providing the muscle with the bat. They both moved up 90 feet, and now 2 in scoring position for Schebler. Right at him with a fastball.
Sometimes as a closer in a spring training game, you actually welcome the opportunity to be in a situation like this. You've got a couple guys on base, tie game. You want to get out of it, so you've almost created the stressful environment that you're going to be pitching in during the course of the year. See what Wade does here.
Just got a piece of it. Wade Davis was on the mound when the Royals won the World Series, but as far as providing a thrill for Royals fans, how about Game 6 of the championship series? Royals had a 1-run lead. Davis comes out of the bullpen. Blue Jays had a runner at second, nobody out. Second and third, 1 out. And the drama that was created from that moment, with the big bats coming up and facing Josh Donaldson, who would eventually be the American League MVP, with runners at second and third and 2 down. And the game being televised on Fox, and they had that great cutaway shot of George checking his pulse in the suite and putting his hand over his chest, because everyone's heart was pounding out of their chest. And Wade has always kept his cool and got a routine ground ball to Mike Moustakas, and the Royals are on their way to the World Series again. Here's George, a little calmer now than he was that night. Struck him out. So, situation created. Davis gets out of it with a strikeout, and the Reds leave 2 in scoring position. 3-2 to the 6th inning in Goodyear, Arizona, the spring training home of the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Indians. Royals will have Eric Hosmer, Kendrys Morales, and Alex Gordon in the 6th inning against Kavis Sampson, and that's just one change. Reds have basically made changes at every position. So Sampson is the third Reds pitcher today after Finnegan, Brandon Finnegan, the former Royal, went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, and J.J. Hoover got the last 2 outs of the 5th. Hosmer drove in the Royals' first run in the 1st inning with a single, and then he had a line drive off of Finnegan, off of his glove in the 3rd inning, knocked the glove right off of his hand. And Finnegan, without a glove, ran the ball down and threw him out. Two and one.
Sampson made 12 starts for the Reds last season. One of those came against the Kansas City Royals. Got a nice live arm.
Good fastball there. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's a fair ball. Nice easy swing with 2 strikes. He really tried to muscle up on the swing before that. And with the 3rd baseman Sparks way off the line, Hosmer gets it by him and has a leadoff double.
Nice day for Eric Hosmer. Is going to end. We'll see Terrence Gore coming in, but not before the nice double down the left field line.
You're Rusty Kuntz in there. Hit him where they ain't. Wee Willie Keeler, who had the I believe the single season hit record before Ichiro Suzuki broke it. But what's your key to hitting? Hit it where they ain't. There are changes in the outfield for the Reds. Juan Duran is in left field. That ball's hit very deep to right field, and it's going to be caught by Rodriguez. Yorman Rodriguez makes the play. And Gore goes to 3rd. So Morales is 0 for 3, but coming very close to hitting a 2-run home run. And the go-ahead run is just 90 feet away. And Jake Cave, C-A-V-E, is in center field. So Duran in left, Cave in center. Rodriguez is at right. Sparks is at 3rd. And Allen is at 1st. And now Alex Gordon. Blocked well by Cabrera. Alex was hit by a pitch by Brandon Finnegan in the 1st inning, and then Finnegan struck him out with a slider in the 4th. Down the middle for a strike. Terrence Gore running for Eric Hosmer, opened the inning with a double. Did he go? He did. Ron Kulpa is the third base umpire. Two and two.
Brady Sampson, just a nice fastball. He likes to move in and out on hitters. Pretty much what you see is what you get with him.
Got him with a slider down. Well, let's see if the Royals can come through again with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. And as we showed you an inning ago, the Royals were the best in the league with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Now this is just a Cactus League game, but Brian Price's team has left 8 runners on base in the first 5 innings. 7 have been with a runner in scoring position. 3 times the Reds have left runners at second and third. There's a strike to Orlando. On the other side, the Royals have only left 3 on base and only 1 in scoring position. Very high in the air to the right side, up in the sun. Rodriguez jogs in from right. DeJesus goes out from second, and that's the inning. So the Royals are not able to turn Hosmer's double into a run, but Hosmer finishes the day with 2 hits, an RBI, 3 good swings. We're tied at 2. Recreation Campus, the campus of champions, and by Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life, visit your local agent or find us on the web at shelterinsurance.com. 2-2 tie. Goodyear, Arizona. Kelvin Herrera comes on for the bottom of the 6th inning. 72 games. And a .206 opponent's batting average last year for Herrera.
Yeah, another nice season for Kelvin Herrera, a guy that has really grown into that role of setting up for those closers. And love to have his fastball. A lot of guys in baseball talk about the fact that he potentially will be a closer on over half the teams in baseball.
You know, as impressive as his numbers were, and I'll also add his 2.71 ERA, it really doesn't tell the entire story for him. As he pitches to DeJesus, 1 ball, 1 strike. Because the last month or so of his season, when he started throwing that breaking ball, which was more like a curveball than it was a slider, I mean, he truly became a 3-pitch pitcher and was unhittable.
Really good sign for Calvin that he's able to evolve like that and incorporate that third pitch. You throw a fastball at around 100, a change up at 85 to 88 miles an hour. Oftentimes hitters will sit on that change up in situations for out pitches, and with that slurvy curveball now he has that third pitch. It really rounds him out nicely.
In the postseason, Herrera threw 13 2/3 innings. He gave up 1 earned run, and he struck out 22. This is Mondesi at shortstop. Strong throw over to Decker, who is at first. And there's one away in the bottom of the 6th inning. And now one down to Ramon Cabrera. Royals now have Gore in left and Travis Snyder in right. And on the infield, Dusty Coleman is at third. Raul Mondesi is at short. And Cody Decker is at first. 2-0 on Cabrera. We were talking when Wade Davis was pitching about his impressive streak without giving up a home run, which was broken last year. Kelvin Herrera went 105 1/3 innings without allowing a home run, and that was ended by the Indians' Lonnie Chisenhall. Off the fist, and Fuentes runs into right center field to get Cabrera.
Pretty good chance if you hit the ball in the air, particularly with the guys you see in the outfield right now, it's going to be caught. Fuentes, nice athletic center fielder. We know Terrence Gore can cover some ground.
Kyle Waldrop is going to bat for Billy Hamilton in the DH spot. There's that breaking ball, and it's low. Didn't mean to do it. And Dusty Coleman over at third base. High throw, but Decker comes off the bag and bails him out. Kelvin Herrera pitches a scoreless 6th inning, and now at the end of 6, it's the Royals 2 and the Reds 2. stadiums all throughout the Cactus League, and we're in Goodyear today with the Royals and the Reds tied at 2. You can secure your seats to opening night for the primetime World Series rematch against the Mets on April 3rd with the purchase of a full season ticket plan. A limited number of seats and season ticket memberships are still available. These plans provide the best prices and the most exclusive benefits throughout the season. So for seating and pricing, call 1-800-6-ROYALS option 2 or email seasonsales@royals.com. There they are. Royal blue all over Goodyear Ballpark.
Nice way to spend your spring break.
Oh man, weather's just perfect. Of course, it's like that every year. I don't want to be presumptuous. I mean, not everyone likes sunny and 82 degrees, but if you do, then this is where you want to be. This is Chris O'Grady pitching to Whit Merrifield, and Whit hits it up into that sunshine and the wind. Going out from short is Trahan, and now to foul ground. So Whit Merrifield, who has been playing all over the field for Ned Yost, makes the first out in the 7th inning. He'll take over for Infante at second base. This is what Chris O'Grady did last year in Double-A in the Reds organization.
Will be a lot of young pitchers given opportunities to show their stuff with the Reds this year in a rebuilding mode.
How about this? This was a record. The Reds' last 64 games were all started by a rookie pitcher. The record had been 42, and they added 12 to that, or 22 to that record. The last 64 games were started by a rookie pitcher.
Over at the hotel where I'm staying here in Arizona last night, talking with a number of Reds fans and asking them about their take on where the Reds are, and it was mixed. A lot of people were like, we still want to win, but some were like, we're excited about this youth movement. And I told them the most important part about it, having been through the Royals progression over the last several years since Dayton Moore had arrived, is just patience, allowing those young players to arrive at the right time when they're ready to play in the major leagues. And you're excited to see them. You want to see them sooner rather than later, but there's a right time for these players to arrive.
And I agree with you, Monty. I mean, you think if there's one word that kind of sums up where the Royals are right now compared to where the Royals were 4 years ago, it's patience. Tony Cruz hits it to right field. That'll drop out in front of Rodriguez, and Tony Cruz is 1 for 3. You know, here we are at the top of the mountain now. The Royals are World Series champions. They've been to the World Series back-to-back years. They've had 3 consecutive years where they've been at least 10 games over 500. But the year before that, 2012, the Royals lost 90 or more games for the 11th time in 14 years.
Yeah, and it's amazing how it can turn so quickly one way or the other. We see teams that are on the top and they go south in a hurry. We talked earlier about the Reds, how they had descended so very quickly. Now they're looking to get back where the Royals are. And I like the Royals because they've built their team the right way. They've used the system. They've made some trades to fill in some holes when needed. But they really are solid. And there's at least another 2 or 3 or 4 years of where this team has a chance to be good, especially the next 2.
And this kid right here will be right in the middle of that, Raul Mondesi. Royals front office, they are as modest as they are skilled in what they've done to bring in young players. And I think if anything, they will downplay, or they'll be very cautious about propping up certain young players in the system. You know, they have confidence in those players, but publicly, you know, sometimes privately too, they might say, well, you know, we'll just have to see. You know, we like him. You know, we'll see how he comes along. But this kid who's at the plate right now, it is very difficult for anyone in the Royal system to contain their excitement for Raul Mondesi.
think anytime you have a multi-tool player like Mondesi is currently, and he's going to grow into that power aspect of the multi-tool player, you have to be excited because he can play various positions. I wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe have the opportunity to play some outfield, do more than just play middle infield, but he's a guy that handles a bat so well, and again, he's going to grow into his power.
We were talking about Brandon Finnegan and how he became the first player in Major League history to pitch in the College World Series and the Major League World Series in the same year. Well, Raul Mondesi last year became the first player in Major League history to make his big league debut in a World Series game. Fastball strikes him out, so Grady comes on, works around a 2-out single, and Danny Duffy will take them out when we come back in the bottom of the 7th inning in a 2-2 tie. For a Suajaro to start growing arms. Did you know that?
I did not. I knew it was kind of an ancient plan.
50 years. There he is. Former Royals great, former Reds great. Jeff Montgomery grew up a Reds fan and had the thrill of a lifetime in 1983 when he was drafted in the 9th round by the Reds, but then 5 years later traded to the Royals for Van Snyder. Sounds like he should be a rock star. That's a rock star's name, Van Snyder. He only played in 19 Major League games, and then 304 saves later, the Reds' gift to the Royals. Jeff Montgomery is in the Royals Hall of Fame.
Well, I think it's very important that you let our viewers understand why that was just shown on our broadcast.
Because it's the Royals and the Reds today. Blake Trahan singles against Danny Duffy into center field. Well, when we arrived today, we ran into Marty Brenneman, the Hall of Fame radio voice of the Reds, someone you listen to quite a bit. And boy, he wanted to find you and ask you how your family was doing and if you were still living in the same hometown. And were you devastated when you were traded away from the Reds?
I was the happiest baseball player in America.
Really?
I was.
That was your team when you were a kid.
I grew up watching and following the Big Red Machine and went through had the opportunity to be drafted by kind of my hometown team. I grew up about 100 miles east of Cincinnati, but I didn't feel like there was going to be an opportunity for me in the major leagues there, and I felt like pitching for the Royals would be a great opportunity, and sure enough, the Royals provided that.
Now remind me, immediately becoming a member of the Royals organization, were you still a starter? or were you automatically a reliever when you came over from the Reds?
Very interesting situation. I had been a starting pitcher the year before. I came to Kansas City thinking I'm going to make the club out of spring training. I was very excited about the opportunity that the Royals were going to provide for me. And then what happened was the first day, John Sherholtz, the Royals general manager, he told me that I'm going to be going to Omaha and I'm going back into the bullpen. So my bubble was burst, but I had a good spring training. I forced the hand a little bit, but short stay in Omaha, then the rest was history. I was able to spend the rest in Kansas City.
Van Snyder. Did you ever meet Van Snyder?
I did.
Okay.
I would see him in the airports during those long days of travel in the minor leagues, and we would tell each other, let's make sure that we do well. We'll keep each other in the big leagues for a while.
Parker Morin is now catching for the Royals. That pitch gets away from him, and Trahan will go up to second base. So, wild pitch.
Brian, I mentioned following the Big Red Machine in my childhood, and I was thinking the other day that it would be great if Royals fans had the chance to watch the Big Blue Machine for a number of years.
Might be.
Would love to see that.
And now Allen takes a walk. So 2 on with nobody out against Duffy. Well, you know, it's too soon. We're still in the afterglow of a World Series championship, back-to-back World Series, but when documentaries are made about the great sports stories in the last 25 or 50 years, let's say 20 or 30 years from now, this is going to be one of them. Bunted in the air. Morin makes the play. So Sparks, in his first plate appearance, trying to get the bunt down and move up the runners. Instead pops out, and now first and second and 1 down. I mean, we were going over the numbers just an inning ago. Well, we all remember the magic number of 29. 29 consecutive years without a trip to the postseason, which is a record for any sport at any level professionally. But 14 seasons, and now another ball gets away from Morin. So second and third and 1 out. But over the course of 14 seasons, 11 of 14, 90 or more losses. 4 of those were 100 loss seasons. And now everyone else is trying to figure out the Royals formula. How did they do it? So you're right, there may be a Big Blue Machine book that comes out 30 years from now.
As we know, still a lot of experts don't feel like the Royals have either done enough in the offseason or have the type of team that's going to be on top again. But I look at this team exactly where they were last year. They've got essentially the same lineup with the exception of right field as where they started last season. Oh, a nice play there.
High throw and out. So Parker Morin bails out Merrifield, who threw very high to the plate, but Morin showing some athleticism to go up and get it and then apply the tag.
Merrifield got under that ball just a little bit. The ball sailed on him. Morin did a nice job blocking that play.
And now Jake Cave spent last year in AA and AAA. He took over in center field a couple of innings ago for Jose Peraza. One and 1. 2-1. Well, you're saying a couple of innings ago that for you at least, you liked it when you had to work hard to get through an inning. So you're not only getting your pitches in there, but you're having to work around some trouble. Wade Davis did that 2 innings ago. Now Danny Duffy begins the inning, allowing a base hit and a walk. And now first and second, 2 down, and making a 3-1 pitch here to Jake Cave. Very close. And the bases are loaded. Duffy has walked 2 in the inning.
Danny not sharp today. Love to see him back in that strike zone. Early count strikes, get ahead of batters, allow himself to then use his out pitches.
And now big Juan Duran. As in 6'7", Juan Duran. Off speed and outside. There's a good fastball right over the outside. And now a little bit inside. .6'7", 230 pounds, Juan Duran. He has Allen at third, Rodriguez at second, Cave at first. And he lines it to right field. 1-run home, and now coming around second is Rodriguez. Snyder's throw is cut off. So the Reds take a 4-2 lead. Duran got a good pitch to hit on 2-1, and he goes the other way to drive in 2.
Yeah, Danny really struggling with his command. Gets a pitch up, allows the bat to get extended there, and guys on base. That's all you want to do. Put it in play.
And this is Hernan Iribarren. At the knees for a strike. There you go. Hernan Iribarren. Little half swing out to Merrifield, and that's the inning. But the Reds get 2. So they come through with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. And Cincinnati leads 4-2. and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. That looks like Sedona. Cincinnati getting a pair of 2-out runs in the bottom of the 7th inning against Danny Duffy. And now the Royals have Dusty Coleman, Terrence Gore, and Kendrys Morales here in the 8th. Facing Chris O'Grady, who pitched a scoreless 7th inning. This is Dusty Coleman's first plate appearance. That's Brian Price, third-year manager of the Reds, on the right. And was sitting next to Mark Riggins, his pitching coach. Brian Price was a major league pitching coach for many years before taking over as Reds manager. After Dusty Baker was let go, Dusty Baker is now the manager of the Nationals. Coleman is thrown out on a ground ball to short, and there's one away.
You really don't see a lot of pitching coaches or former pitchers who eventually become major league managers. Oftentimes it's the catchers as we see, but Bud Black comes to mind as one of those who was a pitching coach.
There's Homer Bailey warming up. That's a big story in Cincinnati. Homer Bailey lost to Tommy John surgery, and then Mike Leake was traded away last year by the Reds, and that's what triggered that 64 consecutive game stretch where the Reds started a rookie. It's a major league record, punted foul by Gore. So anything that Homer Bailey does on the mound around here, that's big news to Reds fans.
Yeah, he was that pitcher who they made their commitment to long-term, over $100 million contract, and still hasn't thrown a pitch since he got the deal.
1-2 on Gore. Terrence came on as a pinch runner for Hosmer in the 6th inning. Just nicked it foul. Yesterday, Terrence Gore, for the 4th time, was named the Willie Wilson Minor League Base Runner of the Year. Two and two.
Very nice ceremony yesterday morning that you were emceeing, and fortunate that we were both able to be a part of that, recognizing some of the individual accomplishments that the minor leaguers have made in the system.
Yeah, it was interesting doing a little research before that and just wondering, you know, how much homegrown players have really impacted the Royals. And the numbers were quite interesting, both the regular season, especially in the postseason. 3-2 on Gore. Players who were drafted and developed by the Royals, or at least played some games in the minor leagues for the Royals, like Lorenzo Cain. That is a fair ball and out. Sparks makes the quick throw over to first base to get Gore 2 down. So drafted and developed by the Royals, or played in the minor leagues at some point, like a Lorenzo Cain or Apollo Orlando, or, you know, somebody like Wade Davis, who came to the Royals thanks to a trade of players who came from the Royals farm system. Here's Calixte. Orlando Calixte takes a strike. 69% of the Royals postseason roster was made up of those players who either came from the farm system or were acquired by a player from the farm system.
And it shows so much about the commitment and the patience that the organization was able to provide with the resources to Dayton Moore to allow it to happen. Dayton bringing some great people and eventually using those players to get to the top again.
Calixte flies to center. The Royals are down in the 8th inning and down 4-2. on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ohlendorf has quite a bit of major league experience, but he's here on a minor league contract. Here's some of the pieces competing for a spot in the Royals bullpen. Brian Flynn came over in the Aaron Crow deal. Almost beat out Ryan Madsen last year. The Royals wisely kept Ryan Madsen. Then Brian Flynn got hurt. We've seen Brian Dunsing quite a bit with the Twins. John Lannon has experience in the big leagues, mostly as a starter. Ohlendorf, we saw Scott Alexander last year make his big league debut.
Yeah, a lot of quality arms and opportunities to choose from. It's a really difficult situation going down the stretch. Who's going to be that last pitcher in the bullpen? Who's going to be that last guy in the rotation? Who's that 25th man on the roster? And oftentimes those decisions are really huge in the eventual success of the team. Last year, Ryan Madsen probably was that last guy in the bullpen, and he made a huge impact for the club.
With Texas last year for 21 games. He's also pitched in the big leagues with the Nationals, the Padres, the Pirates, the Yankees. Very similar to Chris Young in that they are both from Texas. They both went to Princeton, and both some of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet in the major leagues. In fact, I had a writer from the Texas Rangers, longtime writer, who has been with both Chris Young and Ross Ohlendorf. Nice play. Merrifield from his knees. Anyway, that writer said it should be a rule that no team should have Chris Young and Ross Ohlendorf on the same team.
Speaks volumes, doesn't it? This play speaks volumes for Whit Merrifield. What a play.
Here's Kyle Waldrop. And in for a strike. That is a throwback pitching motion, isn't it, for Ohlendorf?
I think that's called the double pump handle. Don't see that one very much anymore.
The double pump handle?
Yes.
Not only that, does he have the arms going everywhere, but then he kind of gives you old-fashioned over-the-top release.
I think it's interesting on Ohlendorf when he does make that windup. He has the baseball where he's going to start out with the baseball in his glove, and he gets it out in the middle of his windup. Here we go with Ohlendorf, the double pump handle again.
Breaking ball.
I may be wrong on it. That may be the single pump handle. A lot of times they would do it twice. I'll call it in the olden days.
Reminds me a little bit of former Royal Paul Byrd.
Yes.
Blake Trahan has singled. Down and away, ball one. Ohlendorf at Princeton, his senior thesis was on the June draft and the most cost-effective ways to acquire amateur talent. Off of Ohlendorf. And there is no play. That got him, sounded like, on the back of his leg.
Got a smile on his face, seems to be fine. If you're going to get hit, the wallet's a pretty good place to get hit.
He's smiling. Ned's smiling.
Okay, anytime. There it is.
Oh, yeah. Wallet.
Got to be quick on your toes on that now. Very close to the action.
I mentioned his senior thesis because I think Ross Ollendorf has baseball front office written all over him when his playing career is over. How about this one, Monty? Now he decides that he's done playing, whenever that is, and he interviews for a job with a major league front office, and they say, well, what are your qualifications? Well, I pitched several years in the big leagues. Here's my senior thesis, by the way, from Princeton on how to acquire amateur talent. Runner goes, pitch is a strike, and safe at second base. Now those two items right there should be impressive enough for a guy to get a job, right? And then he says, oh, by the way, in 2010, I went to arbitration with the Pirates, and I represented myself, and I won.
Hired. Teams would hire him because they would not want him representing players.
That's right. Ollendorf has been mostly a starter in his big league career, and that changed 3 seasons ago with Washington when he started and pitched out of the bullpen, and then all of his appearances last year in both the minor leagues and the big leagues were out of the bullpen. Little bit inside, 3-1 to Brandon Allen. Called strike. Royals will have Terrence Gore, Travis Snyder, and Whit Merrifield in the top of the 9th inning. And we'll do it again.
Talking about Chris Young and Ollendorf, two large guys, but neither one overpowering type that you would think when you looked at them and read about their bios, you would think they would be more of an overpowering type pitcher, but they're guys who are very intelligent pitchers.
Ollendorf 6'4", 240. Of course, Chris Young is 6'10". And now a walk. So Ollendorf got the first 2 outs on a ground ball and a strikeout. Now an infield single and a walk. And this is Taylor Sparks. Ian Kennedy went the first 4. He gave up 2 runs. Wade Davis and Kelvin Herrera both went a scoreless inning. The Reds scored 2 in the 7th against Danny Duffy, and now 2 on 2 out against Ollendorf. And that's down and away to Sparks. Taylor Sparks fouled out to the catcher Parker Morin on a bunt attempt last inning. So he didn't get the bunt down. Now he's trying to swing away and drive in a run. And takes a strike. One and two. And struck him out. 2 strikeouts for Ohlendorf in a scoreless bottom of the 8th. Royals are down by 2 as we head to the 9th. Four-2 Reds to the top of the 9th inning. MLB.TV Premium. It's everything you have come to expect and more. Plus a new low price for 2016. You can watch spring training games and every out-of-market regular season game for all 30 teams live in HD at home, in the office, or on the go. MLB.TV Premium includes a free at-bat premium subscription. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Lane Somsen, who pitched at Pensacola and Louisville last year. And he'll pitch to Cody Decker. I said Terrence Gore. Cody Decker, Travis Snyder, and Whit Merrifield. Cody Decker, he's had some big years in the minor leagues. He has hit 20 or more home runs in the minor leagues 4 different times. This is the first time, this spring is the first time he's worn any uniform other than one in the Padres organization. He had been with the Padres since 2009 and only 8 games in the big leagues. Out of UCLA, Cody Decker. Still 2-2.
Thompson got that long arm slot. Really a lot of moving parts out there, but guy that seems to have a nice downhill plane when he gets in that throwing position.
Full count. High and deep into left center field. The ball carries, and Duran on the track makes a one-hand grab. And that'll bring up Travis Snider. Snider hit an impressive home run yesterday in the Royals' victory over the White Sox in surprise. On a minor league contract, but a player with quite a bit of major league experience. Last year, Snider played with the Orioles and the Pirates. 2 years ago, he had 13 home runs for the Pirates. (2-0).
Snider, a guy that the Blue Jays drafted and gave him ample opportunities to provide some security in his career as a Blue Jay, and it just didn't work out with Toronto, but who knows.
Allen takes it to the bag after boxing it around some. He was a first-round pick of the Blue Jays. I remember Travis Snider and Adam Lind kind of seemed to be linked to one another. Left-hand bats for the Blue Jays, neither with the Blue Jays anymore. And here's Whit Merrifield. Made a couple of nice plays on defense today. And at the plate, he is 0 for 1. Forever a hero in Columbia, South Carolina, Whit Merrifield. Back in 2010, he drove in the winning run in the 11th inning to beat UCLA in the College World Series. Royals took him that same year in the 9th round, same round you were drafted. Spent all of last year at AAA Omaha. And as we were talking about earlier in the game, he can play all over the field. Over the outside. A strikeout for Somson. And that's it. The Reds catcher, Joe Hudson, thought we were playing 10 innings. He went running into the dugout, but this ball game's over.
Do you take your eyes off the road when you get a phone